Have you ever stumbled across a story online that hits you so hard it doesn't even feel like just some random post? Today I was scrolling through Reddit and found a few stories like that. Way too real, way too creepy to ignore. I've got a feeling you're going to want to hear these. So, no more waiting, let's dive right in.
Story 1.
The woods were my escape. Now, they haunt every dream I have. Growing up in a house filled with chaos, arguments, and discomfort, the dense forest behind our yard became my refuge until that forest changed into a traumatic scar in my mind. I grew up in the most rural part of my state, where woods would stretch for miles. They seemed to loom over everything. The roads and towns were nothing more than reprieves from its leaf-covered shroud. The forest was so dense that someone would get lost at least once a year. As a kid, it never seemed like a big deal when it happened. They would be gone for hours, but they almost always made it back. What confused me at the time was how terrified they were when they returned. Even as a child, you could see the panic and fear on their faces. You could tell how relieved they were that they had returned to civilization. It always made me wonder just what was so terrifying about it. So, with curiosity and a need to escape, I walked through those woods every chance I got. I knew them better than my own home. My house and family were chaotic. Arguments would turn into physical fights that could last the day. That place never felt safe, never felt like a home. I would go home only to feel chewed up and spat back out. Because of that, I would escape every chance I got, rain or shine. Those woods felt like my own personal safe haven, my little slice of paradise away from the hell of my home life. But as time passed and I grew older, I'd go further. One day, though, I went far enough to understand what made people so afraid of getting lost in those woods. It started like any other day. I got home from school. I found my house as filthy as the previous day and searched for what little food we had before heading for my daily hike. My house had a large backyard that sloped down before meeting the tree line. At the edge of the trees was a chain-link mesh tunnel with vines growing all around it. It looked like an entry into another world when you walked through it. It was a ritual for me to walk through it to enter the woods. In my head, it was like I was entering another world. All the negative thoughts and events of the day would be left on the other side. I completed my journey through the tunnel and made my way onto one of the less used walking paths through the woods. I knew most of the trails and where they lead. There was only one path that I had never gone down. The path was a shallow line of compacted dirt that you would lose if you weren't careful. I've been saving going down this path for a while. There was a subtle anxiety whenever I thought about going down it. I always assumed it was from how easy I knew it would be to get lost on it. The leaves on the ground and roots pulled at the edges and covered it. It felt like the woods were trying to reclaim that part of the forest floor and remove the traces that man had forced on it. I was sympathetic to its cause. If I could erase the memories and evidence of my family, I would have. I decided I would put the fear and anxiety away. So, I began my pilgrimage down the path, taking turns and switching paths when needed. I made my way deep into the depths of the forest. The path grew smaller and more challenging to see. I pushed on, but at this point, unease swept over me. Every step felt like I was stepping on glass. Something sacred was being disturbed by my presence. I was trespassing on a world that was better off without me. Yeah, I could feel a pull like my wanderings did not upset something. It felt like something was glad I respected it enough to see its true nature. It felt like I was discovering a place not seen by human eyes in years. My pace slowed as the forest loomed over me. The tree branches were twisting above me to block me in. There was a cliff to my right and a drop to my left. The path had no other way but forward and back. As a kid, it's easy to get scared when you're out there all alone. You start making up creatures and monsters that follow you. In my mind, I could hear my family or the few friends I had from school calling me back. Part of me thought I should. My heart knew I would refuse the call. 2 hours of walking led me to an alien place in the forest. Slowly descending the narrow path, I realized the forest had gone quiet. There were no bugs, wind, or even animals. There was a thumping sound echoing. I felt it rattle me around. The only break from the quiet, and I realized it was my heart. I had heard the forest only gets quiet when there are predators near. Only the sound of my hesitating footsteps dared to break the sound of silence that permeated here. My thoughts and feelings of fear were stopped in one moment. At the end of the bend, going around the large hill to my right, I saw something impossible. Nestled at the crossroads of 4 walkways sat a perfectly built suburban home. It looked like everything I thought a home should be. Clean white paint, a warm, friendly glow, and a lovely flower garden right out front. I froze on the spot as my brain registered what I saw. I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. How could there be a house so perfectly maintained this deep in the woods? I thought to myself, I had walked for over 2 hours from the starting path, nearly 5 hours to get to this spot. There was no way for anyone to get the materials out here to build something like this. It felt wrong just looking at it. My stomach felt tight, like the nerves when you get to your friend's house for the first time. My breath hitched as the door slowly creaked with a high-pitched whine from disuse. The most disturbing part was how inviting it was. It opened like someone saw you coming and wanted to hold it open for you. The inside was black, but a soft melody flowed from the open door. It sounded like a harp backed by a piano and violin. The surrounding woods were motionless. Before I knew what I was doing, my feet shuffled forward, moving in a clunky, unfamiliar manner. I moved like a marionette, strings pulled by unseen hands, every step jerky and unnatural, long and bouncing steps that drew me closer to the house. My feet dragged with slow scraping that matched the song from the house. Panic swept over me. The urge to vomit overwhelmed my senses. I did everything in my power to turn back, to run away, yet my eyes stayed locked on the door. My body continued to move on its own. From the darkness of the home crept an outstretched arm. It looked emaciated, how thin and frail it was. With long, branch-like fingers, it gestured me forward. It stretched out longer than any arm should. Its long fingers danced in a beckoning wave. I felt my arm lifting out, preparing to grab it when I got close. An urge to hold its needle-like fingers for comfort. The gnarled fingers creeping towards me that would pull me close to whatever that thing was with a forced smile on my face. The stench of rotten decay flowed out the doorway, mixed with honey and flowers. "Smells like home," echoed in my empty mind. The darkness of my new home lifted the closer I got. To my horror, it thinned enough to see pulsating flesh that made up the interior walls. Teeth jutted out haphazardly, and I realized that I was walking into a mouth. And that arm was its tongue, probing me. It wanted to get a taste before it pulled me inside to swallow me whole. Or did it want me to know it was there for me? Despite my fear, it wanted to welcome me and make me feel safe with its paternal gestures of care. I wanted to go home and run away from here. It was then I realized why I couldn't do that, why I hadn't run away even with the fear. I didn't have a home to run back to. It was just a prison full of pain and abuse. Wasn't this much more of a home than that? I understood why those people who got lost never went back and now, why some were never able to get back home. This thing pulled them in and forced them to come inside its open mouth. Internally, I was screaming in fear. My body walked happily despite that fear. With all of my willpower, I managed to move my teeth. My teeth crashed down on my tongue, and the bolt of pain tore through me. Alien thoughts, or maybe insidious internal ones of my own, stopped. As quickly as I could, I turned and started running. I heard the music cut out and knew the arms were rushing out to grab me. A low, grumbling roar bellowed behind me. The hungry roar of a starved stomach, or the cry of a parent losing their child. That parental horror when your child runs away, never to be seen again. I sprinted past the curve and ran down the path. In my panic state, I sprinted so hard that my legs burned and my feet ached. I saw that arm reach out behind every tree to grab or trip me up. Sometimes I could see its form behind a tree as if begging me to return with it. After hours, I saw my house and the vine-covered tunnel. The noise of nature only returned as I came out to the other end of my backyard. My lungs felt like they were on fire and my body was sweaty. I looked back into the woods and felt ice in my veins as I saw the arm at the end of the tunnel. It waved me a sad, slow goodbye before retreating into the dense woods. Since that day, I've never been in the woods again. I still have dreams of that day, though, reliving the moments again and again. Each time, I get closer to that hand and house. What scares me the most is how much I want to go back. I'm writing to tell you how wrong I was to run. I'll be going back as soon as this is posted. Some might say it's in my head, that it wants to eat me, but I know in my heart that's wrong. My mind made it seem like it was evil or a monster. I can't keep living with my family. Where I'm at isn't a home, and I yearn to return to my real home in the woods. It's where I've always been happiest. That thing is the only one to have ever loved me. The only thing to want me and to take care of me. I've avoided this and made my parent wait far too long. Every night for the last week, I've seen it smiling in my window. Such a beautiful and joyous smile as it whispers a lullaby that drowns out the arguments. I'm holding its hand as I finish writing this. Its soft, long fingers hold mine, and I can't wait to leave. I just have one final thing I'd like to say. If you're out in the woods and you see a home there, don't be afraid because something that loves you is waiting behind that door. We'll be waiting for you to find your way home.
Story 2.
I took the job because I needed quiet. I had just moved back into the city after a really bad year. Breakup, job loss, a fire that took half of what I owned. I was couch surfing when I saw the listing. Overnight shift, private sleep study, no experience necessary, just basic data entry and the ability to stay awake. I figure I'd get some peace, maybe save up enough to afford rent somewhere that didn't smell like damp carpet and stale weed. The company was called Somnotech. I Googled them. Not much came up. One old article in University Medical Journal talking about experimental treatments in chronic sleep disorder recovery, and a bare-bones website with a contact form. The building I was sent to looked more like an office for defunct insurance than a lab. Beige, windowless, buzzed me in through 2 locked doors. Everything inside was silent and clean. No lobos, just halls that didn't echo. They gave me a laminated badge and walked me to observation room 6. It had one long window, a chair, 3 monitors, and a clipboard. That was it. Beyond the glass, a white-walled room, padded corners, one hospital-style bed with a woman laying perfectly still on it. Wires across her scalp. Pulse oximeter, blood pressure cuff, breathing tubes. The usual. The kind of image you'd see in a medical drama. Her name was Marla. That's all they told me. She's not in a coma. The lead technician, Dr. Ellis, said. She's asleep. I asked how long. He said 42 days. That was when I almost walked out. But the pay was too good, and I told myself it was harmless. Just keep a log. Note her REM cycles. Don't go in a room. They emphasized that. Over and over. Never enter the room. I asked what would happen if she woke up. Dr. Ellis paused for too long before he answered. That's not expected. That first night, nothing happened. She lay still, vitals normal. Every couple hours her eyes flickered beneath the lids. Standard REM activity. Once, around 2:30 a.m., her hand twitched. I logged everything. I didn't sleep, didn't even look away much. Just sat and stared, drank vending machine coffee, and listened to the soft beep of monitors that never changed. It wasn't until the 3rd shift that she moved. Not much. Just shifted in bed, rolled slightly. Her breathing deepened. That's when I noticed something strange. The audio feed picked up sound from her room, but it was too clean. No background noise. No rustle of sheets. Just her breathing. Then she said something. A whisper. I hit replay. She'd said a name. My name. My full name. No one else at Somnotech knew it. I'd used an alias on the application, something I did out of habit after a few years of gig jobs. But what she said, what she mouthed, was my real name. The one I haven't used since I left home. I showed the recording to Dr. Ellis. He watched it twice without expression. It's likely a coincidence, he said. The dreaming brain replays fragments of memory. She may have seen you on the way in. She's been asleep for 6 weeks. She's responding. That's good. Keep documenting. He walked out before I could ask anything else. The next few nights, I tried to convince myself it was nothing. I told myself it was a coincidence, that it didn't mean anything. But she kept saying it, night after night. Just my name. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. No sound, just the shape of it, over and over. Her mouth moving in that same rhythm. I stopped drinking the coffee, started staying stone cold sober for every shift. On the 23rd day, everything changed. At exactly 3:07 a.m., Marla sat up in bed. Her eyes were still closed. She turned her head, slowly, toward the camera in the top corner of the ceiling. And then, without hesitation, she pointed at it. At me. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stared as she pointed, waited 5 long seconds, then laid back down. I radioed it in. "She's dreaming about you," the tech on call said. "That means it's working." "What's working?" No response. When I arrived the next night, I was given a new form to sign. It was labeled *** Phase 2 Observation Protocol ***. Most of it was boilerplate NDA language, but 2 lines stuck out. Observer must not leave the premises until Phase 2 is complete. Observer must report all subjective experiences, including dreams, during or between shifts. They were asking me to log my own sleep. When I pointed out that I wasn't supposed to be sleeping on shift, the night tech said, "You'll understand soon." Marla began crying on day 31. At first it was soft, then sobs, raw, broken, painful. Her vitals didn't spike. Brain activity remained stable, but the sound of her grief came through the speaker like it was close. Not recorded, not filtered, like she was in a room with me. I started sleeping in 2-hour blocks. I couldn't stay awake anymore. My body was shutting down. And then the dreams came. First night, I'm standing in the hallway of a lab. Only it's longer. The walls are too narrow, the ceiling too low. At the end of the hallway, there's a door. Behind it, whispering. Second night. Marla is sitting in the chair I use, writing something. Every time I try to speak, she looks up and smiles. Her eyes are still closed. Third night. I'm in the observation room, but the monitors show me sleeping. Marla's bed is empty. I started documenting the dreams. Every detail. I showed them to Dr. Ellis. He didn't even blink. "You're sinking," he said. "Sinking with what?" He just said the bridge needs a guide. I stopped asking questions. I stopped pushing. I didn't have much choice. I started working double shifts. 18 hours on, 6 off. I slept at the facility. They put me in a bunk room in a hallway I'd never seen. I thought it was just exhaustion, but when I tried to leave the building after that shift, my badge was deactivated. The front doors stayed locked. I went back to the observation room. Marla was sitting up in bed, hands on her face, still crying. She'd been crying for 9 days straight. I didn't eat, didn't sleep. I started taking the pills they left by the coffee machine. They didn't help. My vision blurred. My hand shook. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw bags under my eyes, my face pale and gaunt. I wasn't there anymore. I was just in the room, staring, always staring. And then Marla opened her eyes. Just for a moment, just a fraction of an inch, but they were open. Not white, not rolled back. She was looking at me. Her pupils were there, focused. She held my gaze for a breath, then closed them. I tried to call Dr. Ellis. My radio didn't work anymore. The lights went out. The only thing left was the audio feed. Her soft crying. And then, she said my name again. That's when I noticed. My clipboard was empty. Every log, every note, every dream I'd written down gone. I grabbed for the stack of old forms from the drawer under the monitor. They weren't there. Not even the signature pages. Just hundreds of blank sheets. I looked up at the monitors. The leftmost screen was blank. I hadn't noticed it. Was it always like that? It was dark. No lights, no video. Just a black screen with a single white label. My name. Marla pointed at it. The crying stopped. She stood up and walked to the window. I felt cold. My blood slowed. My heart pounded in my ears. Then she reached out and touched the glass. And for the first time, the audio picked up more than her breath. It picked up mine. I backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The door was locked. Marla stared at me through the window, and her expression changed. Her brow furrowed. Her mouth opened. I watched the shape of a question form on her lips. Suddenly, I was in the room. Not the observation room. Her room. My hand touched the bed. Cold sheets. The air smelled sterile. There was one window. No monitors. I was on the other side of the glass. I was in the bed. I looked over the edge of the mattress and saw myself. I was sitting in the observation chair, writing on a clipboard. My eyes were open but blank. The rightmost monitor showed vitals, but they weren't Marla's. They were mine. My breathing, my heart rate. And on the leftmost monitor, just darkness. Marla stood in front of the window in the observation room and pointed at me. She mouthed something over and over again. Not my name. Not this time. I couldn't understand it. I tried to get up, to reach for her, but I couldn't move. She took one step back and turned toward the door. I heard it open. Someone walked in, someone I couldn't see. Marla said something else and then walked out. The audio feed stayed active. I heard footsteps. A new set of footsteps, heavier, slower, dragging. And then a new voice. It wasn't Marla's. It was mine. I tried to scream. The audio feed went dead. The next time I woke up, the observation room was dark. The silence was too deep. It felt like the building had been abandoned for years. I pulled the blanket off me. My legs were weak. My mouth tasted of copper. I stood up slowly. The air was freezing. My breath came out in clouds. The window was dark. All the lights were off. But when I looked at the ground, I saw I wasn't standing on the floor. I was standing on glass. And on the other side, a new girl in the chair. Only, she wasn't looking up at me. She was looking at me, straight on, as if her world tilted at a different angle. As if she were seated upright in a room that existed sideways beneath mine. Her gaze didn't drift. Her neck didn't crane. She met my eyes like we were sitting across from each other, not separated by gravity and glass. I dropped to my knees, pressing my hands to the pane. She watched me, pale, shaking, eyes wide with fear. She looked like she'd been crying, like she'd seen something she didn't understand. I recognized myself in her face, but it wasn't me. It couldn't be, because behind her, on the far side of the darkened room, there was a figure standing in the corner. It was me, the other me, the one that sat in the chair. Its eyes were open, and it was smiling, and on its lap, an empty clipboard waiting to be filled. Backslash asterisk 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 backslash asterisk. It's been 4 months since I arrived at Somnotech. I haven't slept in 3. I've written all of this down. I'm not sure how many times. I don't know how much is real. The girl in the chair doesn't look at me anymore. She stopped crying. She stopped moving. She's becoming like the other one, the smiling one, the one in the dark, the one who's waiting for its turn. I don't want to know what comes next. I don't think anyone does, but it doesn't matter what we want. All that matters is what wants. And it's getting closer. I can hear it in the walls. I can feel it in my skin. I can see it in the reflection. And once that happens, there's only one thing left. One final step. One last phase. This isn't a dream. It's not even a nightmare. It's the thing waiting after, and we're already in it. We're all already asleep, and we don't even know it yet.
Story 3.
I was tired of everything, of my minimum wage job that paid for absolutely nothing of the constant bills that added up, of seeing my friends do better than me, of the constant unhappiness consuming me. I want a way out, of course. I thought of maybe leaving the country and starting a new life. But I was way too poor for that. Maybe trying to find a girlfriend? That didn't work. Maybe going to the gym to distract myself? That didn't work either. So I thought the best option out was suicide. I tried to overdose, but clearly I didn't take enough pills because I woke up the next day delirious and feeling like shit. I was too scared to try the other methods because I'm a wuss, so I gave up on that. The only thing in my life that gave me happiness was alcohol, and I was beginning to spend the little money I had on it. Last week, as I was bored out of my mind, a text message popped up on my phone. You've been selected for an assisted suicide free of charge. Come to this address. Underscore. Me, being a dumbass, decided to go to the address. I searched for the address on Google Maps. A photo of a clinic named Smile popped up. It didn't have any reviews, and it was only a 10-minute walk. Seems legit. So I got up from my bed, left my house, and strolled through the streets, smiling to myself. I could finally get a way out. I got a few weird stares. I happily followed the directions, practically skipping each path Google Maps took me, until I found myself standing in front of the clinic that looked exactly like the photo. I walked inside, and a guy with long curly hair wearing a suit was sitting at a desk. He smiled at me, and I showed him the text I got. "Oh, you're Dave? Follow me," he said cheerfully. I was confused. "How do you know my name?" I asked. "Don't worry. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters." I decided not to question him further and followed him. The clinic was pretty clean, and the smell of medicine filled my nose. I liked that smell. He led me into a room with a singular chair and a cupboard full of syringes. "Sit down," he said. I sat down. The chair was pretty uncomfortable, but I tried to not think much of it. "Now, before I do this, are you sure you want to go through with this? There's no going back, remember. I'm more ready than ever." With that, he rummaged through the cupboard of syringes and took a syringe full of purple liquid out. He smiled to himself. I couldn't tell if it was sincere or not. It just didn't look right. "Close your eyes, okay? This will hurt a little." I closed my eyes and winced a little as the syringe pierced my skin. I could feel the cold liquid enter my bloodstream, and it somehow felt calming. "All done. Now, just keep your eyes closed and relax," he said. I felt calmer than ever as I kept my eyes closed. My breathing became slower, and I felt my heart slowing. The melodic sound of a piano played in my mind as I drifted off into the afterlife. Or so I thought. My eyes opened, and I'm met with a hallway with a bunch of doors. I get up from the floor and look at my surroundings in complete confusion. Before I can even register what's happened, I see a figure open one of the doors and slowly walk up to me. I almost screamed, frozen in place with fear. Something that looked human but had no face and had claws for hands pointed straight at me. It towered over me, its imposing nature sending chills down my spine. "What is this? Who are you? What am I doing here?" I didn't get a response. Its long claw just pointed at me, as if I was an intruder, as if I didn't belong in this place. Then something else opened a door and walked up to me. It was a human. At least it looked human. A man who was wearing sunglasses and a long black cloak. "You're not supposed to be here," he said seriously. "How did you even get here in the first place?" I tried to keep my composure, even though I was 2 seconds away from trying to run away in fear. Assisted suicide. You went to the wrong world. I need to kill you." I look at the man, even more perplexed than before. "The wrong world? What do you Before I could finish my sentence, the thing without the face and the long claw, which was still pointing at me, wrapped its claws around my neck. I could feel the stabbing pain of its claws around my neck getting tighter and tighter, digging into my skin, giving me no access to air. I tried to gasp for air, tears beginning to stream down my face. Once again, I began to hear that same melodic piano as my head started spinning, and I could see a bright light. And for some reason, I felt genuine dread. Then darkness clouded my vision. My eyes opened once again, and I was back in the chair in the clinic. I could still feel the throbbing pain in my neck, a reminder of how I got back here in the first place. I got up from the chair in a panic and looked around frantically, dazed and terrified. "What is this place? What the fuck did you do to me? Where was I? Who are you? The same man with the long curly hair who wore a suit, looking at the syringe with now nothing in it, looked at me, raised an eyebrow, then simply chuckled. You were supposed to die, but I'm guessing you went to that place, huh? What do you mean? Can you please explain? Come back next week. He said, dodging my question. Can you please explain? Come back next week. I sighed and got up from the chair, left the clinic, and walked back home as questions danced around my head and my neck still hurting like a bitch. When I made it back home, I just started sobbing. I don't know why, but I just needed to have a good cry. Because I didn't know what the fuck I just experienced. And I still don't. Now, as I'm writing this story, I just want to know, is there more than one world out there? Has this happened to anyone else?
Story 4.
It was just after midnight, and I was alone in the house. I live on the East Coast. Small town. Nothing special. My parents were out of town visiting family, and I had the place to myself for the weekend. I wasn't expecting anyone. I wasn't texting anyone. Just winding down, watching YouTube on the couch, blanket half over me, lights off except for the kitchen and the soft glow of the TV. That's when I got the first text. It came in as an iMessage. Blue bubble. From a number I didn't recognize. Area code 406. Montana. I don't know a single person from Montana. I don't even know anyone who's been there. I've lived on the East Coast my entire life, and there's no overlap between my contacts and anything out west. No message, just a pin attachment. I tapped it. The preview of the pin briefly looked familiar. The map opened to my house. My actual house. Every part of me went cold. My stomach flipped. I sat up a little straighter, holding the phone tighter. I didn't know what to make of it. Was it a mistake? A weird glitch? A wrong number? I didn't move for a while. Just stared at the screen, waiting for another message or some kind of explanation. Nothing came. I texted back. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. I stayed frozen. I thought maybe it was a scammer. But no links, no follow-up. Just my exact house as a drop pin, sent deliberately. Then I got another message. You always sit in the same spot. My stomach dropped. I backed away from the window instinctively. At 12:14 a.m., another iMessage came through. This one wasn't a drop pin. It was a live location share through the Find My app. Not just a static point. A constantly updating dot that tracked them in real time. Wherever they went, I could see it. The starting point was about an hour away. It looked like a country road near a highway exit I didn't recognize. The dot was moving. Fast. Whoever it was, they were driving. The dot kept moving steadily. It was still on a highway an hour out, a direct line straight toward my county. The realization hit hard, like ice water down my back. This wasn't some random drive. Whoever this was, they were coming directly to me. I froze. My first instinct was to close the app, but I couldn't. My hands felt glued to the phone. My chest tightened as I watched the dot crawling closer, taking the highway exit that fed straight into my town. Panic kicked in. I stood up too fast and stumbled, almost dropping the phone. My mind raced with everything I hadn't done, doors, windows, lights. I snapped into motion. I ran upstairs, locking the window in my room even though I never opened it. Then the bathroom window. I came back down, grabbed the landline phone we still keep in the kitchen, and checked to make sure it had a signal. Then I moved through the house quickly, locking the front door even though I was pretty sure I had already. Then I went to the back and turned the deadbolt. Then checked the side door to the garage. I flicked off every light as I went. Kitchen, hallway, living room, everything dark. I returned upstairs and shut the door to my bedroom, locking it behind me. I crouched low below the window and stayed there, holding my phone with both hands. I reverse searched the number online. For some odd reason, it hadn't occurred to me to do it after the first pin. Nothing. No name. No carrier ID. The websites that normally return at least a state or spam risk came back blank. One of them just said, no available data. I tried copying the number into Facebook. Nothing. Instagram. Snapchat. Nothing. The dot was about 45 minutes out now. I called one of my friends again and left a message this time, voice shaking. Told them I was getting a live location from a random Montana number, and the sender had sent my house as a pin first. They turned into a live location through the Find My app. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. The details were too specific, too direct. No context, no scam links. Just the pin, then the line. You always sit in the same spot. Then a moving location. Still no reply. I sat on the floor behind the couch, keeping low. Every light in the house was off now, except for the lamp in the upstairs hallway. I checked the front door again. Still locked. Back door. Locked. Windows. Closed. No lights outside except the small porch lamp and the motion light over the garage. My neighbors were all asleep. One of them works early shifts and their lights were already off at 10. The other house hadn't had a single light on all evening. The entire block was dead quiet. I called the police, told them someone from out of state had sent me my exact location and was now sharing a live location that was moving toward me. They asked if I knew the person. I said no. They asked if I was in immediate danger. I said I didn't know. They said they would send a cruiser to do a drive-by in a bit, but not to call 911 unless someone actually showed up. The line went dead after that. The dot was still moving. Now, 35 minutes out. I couldn't stop checking it. I kept switching apps, refreshing, going back. Over and over again. I sat in my bedroom on the floor beneath the window, hiding just under the sill out of instinct. I didn't think I would see anything, but I couldn't stop myself from checking. I wanted to be near the window. I needed to know if someone was really coming. Legs crossed, phone in both hands, eyes glued to the screen. Every time I glanced back at the dot, still crawling closer, I felt a cold throb in my chest. I imagined every bump I heard as a knock, every gust of wind as movement. I kept picturing someone walking around the house with their phone in their hand, sending things to me without saying a word. I mustered up the courage to call the number and see what's going on, or give them a piece of my mind for scaring me like this. No response. At 1:03 a.m., another message came through. You always sit in the same spot. My throat felt dry. I turned off the hallway lamp from earlier and curled into the corner between the nightstand and the wall. My phone lit up my face, but I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to watch that. I had to know. The location was 25 minutes away. Then 20. Were they really coming towards my house? I started to deny it. There's no way they are, and even if so, what would they do? I don't even know this person. Time started to stretch. I was staring at the screen, barely blinking. I lost track of how long I stared at it, watching it slowly eat up the distance. I wasn't sure if the police had actually come. I didn't hear a siren. No knock. No headlights outside. I didn't even know if they could find someone from just a number and a moving dot. The dot crept through the center of town. Then 15 minutes out. Then 12. Then 9. It passed the gas station. Then the local grocery store. It took the same route I would take to get home. My legs were stiff from not moving. I stayed quiet. I don't know why. It felt wrong to even shift around too much. I kept glancing at the door to my bedroom like something might come through it. At 1:39 a.m., the dot turned onto my street. Then it stopped. My stomach dropped so hard I felt dizzy. I grabbed my phone and fumbled through the lock screen, trying to redial the police. My hand was shaking so badly I hit the wrong buttons twice. It sat at the edge of the block for a full minute. Just paused there. I was holding my breath. Then it moved again, right past the first house. Then the second. Then it stopped again, in front of mine, right across. I crawled over to the window, slowly, just enough to peek beneath the blinds without pressing my face up. A pair of headlights was sitting silently at the curb. My phone buzzed. One more message. You see me now. Then came the photo, taken from the street. My house. Lights off. Curtains drawn. The picture was angled upward, directly in my bedroom window. I haven't moved. The car door just opened. https://www.reddit.com/r/safescare.
Story 5.
Being an artist is a difficult journey in a world filled with them. Everyone is an artist in their own way. Writers translate the visceral emotions of people and concepts into meager language. A primitive tool that could never capture true feelings, yet they strive and reach closer every day. Architects design beautiful and logical cities. Complicated designs worth every penny. Construction workers break their bodies to develop those cities and do it so efficiently it can be finished in just days. Artistry stems from a flow state, the state of being withdrawn from the outside world, and the only thing inside is the work to be done. You feel every word, you picture every design, you hammer every nail, all the while your mind is empty. It flows from you into the world as the ultimate form of expression, straight from the soul. So, when everyone is an artist, the field becomes impacted by the weight of society. For every businessman, there are 20 or more musicians. I am one of the lucky few to have been granted the right by the public to ascertain a career of it. It wasn't all merit, I admit. Connections are very important in NYC, but everyone I play for only has the highest praises for me. With my newfound fortune from playing the piano and selling out shows, I bought myself a personal one, and it came with a beautiful apartment at the top of a building in the heart of artistry, here in New York. I have never seen anything like it. A gorgeous and well-tuned, well-taken care of machine ready to go at the drop of a hat, included with my own place to call home. It was a miracle, something given by the universe itself to congratulate me in my life's work. The artist of the strings pulling together our universe themselves have beckoned me to live here. A panoramic view of gray monoliths stretching out, lighting up a dark sky with their vibrant life, and no sound to accompany it. A marble open floor plan with plenty of space to accommodate at least 4 people comfortably. My new home. There's a problem with my God-given gift, though. There are bugs in my walls. I don't know the kind, but they act strange. They're alive in ways that make me think they're conscious. I only started suspecting them a month after moving in, when I began to hear scratching following me into every room I entered. I thought there may have been a structural problem, but the builders I called to inspect my apartment didn't find any large-scale issues with the integrity of it. Just some missing caulk here, a pipe needing to be replaced there. The scratching continued. It would follow me into the bedroom and slowly pulsate in waves of stress that made it impossible to sleep. One time when I woke up from a feverish dream, I stared at the ceiling and I swear I saw it bulge and bend, like a baby turning over in his mother's womb. It would tick and turn like a metronome, slow and methodical, until I drifted away. I couldn't stand being in the apartment anymore, and so I called pest control to help me. The noises were driving me mad. They looked through every nook and cranny, but didn't find evidence of creatures living in my walls. Probably the wind, the exterminator said. I admit I yelled at the man and forced him out of my house. How could the wind bend my walls? How could it scratch all night and know where I'm at? I said. The man shrugged and said something about sounding like a personal problem. Sounded like I needed to see a doctor. But I'm not crazy. I know crazy as it has been bred into family members I grew up with who had to get institutionalized. I know the signs and I know what is real. I was defeated that night, slowly drinking myself into a stupor. I opened up the grand piano for the first time and played something inspired by my world. The moon bore a full face, scowling down at all of humanity below me. It had no one to accompany it that night, as all its younger brothers and sisters had been wiped out by the artificial light of the people. Light that killed all of the moon's family. Our scourge on the sky. It bore a face of sadness, of regret. Thinking of all of his lost family, I played something to accompany his grief, his loneliness, his sadness. The great sonata dedicated to him by Beethoven. Every note rang true through my hands and body. The vibrations added warmth to the air, and melancholy miasma spread in a gaseous form through every crack in the doors and filled the hallways with blue notes of ancient sadness. The moon lowered in the sky in appreciation, getting closer to hear better. In my flow, I thought of a man I met years ago, before I was ever famous and before anyone but my mother and father heard my songs. We were at a bar, listening to some slow blues of a local band. Have you ever thought of being an artist? The man said. I turned in my stool and looked at him in confusion, as I never met him before. He had striking red and curly hair, skin like porcelain and aquamarine pools, sitting in sharp but sad eyes. Eyes that told a story of certain betrayal that intrigued me enough to entertain him. I shifted my body uncomfortably, but his energy gave off a welcoming and loving presence. Something about him made me want to tell him the truth. It's all I ever dreamed of. He smiled a wide grin that filled me with warmth. I remember that night as if it were etched in time, every word a part of a dance between fate and desire. I leaned forward slightly, my eyes locked onto his, as if daring the secret inside me to reveal itself. You see, I began hesitantly, feeling both compelled and terrified by the pull of his oceanic gaze. I've always believed that art was a born gift, a fire waiting to spark. His smile grew, slow and knowing. Do you think that spark is something given by inheritance, or something beyond comprehension? Something otherworldly? He asked, his voice a gentle purr that seemed to echo off the smoky walls. The soulful notes from the blues band draped around us like an intimate shroud. I laughed nervously, unsure if I was prepared for what lay beneath his words. Are you suggesting some kind of magic? Not magic, per se, he replied, leaning closer so that the light caught the glint of something unspoken in his aquamarine eyes. He took a sip of his drink. A pact, perhaps. A covenant that can turn a whisper of talent into a roaring blaze. Something you promised to yourself. But as with the laws of nature, every light casts a shadow. A price paid for every good deed or wish granted. The chill in his tone sent shivers down my spine. My heart hammered with the anticipation of both hope and dread. And what price would that be? I asked softly, every instinct screaming that the answer might shatter my dreams. His eyes darkened for a moment, sorrow mingling with mischief. Let's make up a hypothetical. Say I were to give you your dreams, but you must be cursed, like a shadow, in the direct magnitude of your wish. I felt the weight of his words deep within me, like a promise too tantalizing. So, if I accept your offer, I'll become renowned, destined to have all I ever dreamed of. I murmured, unable to tear my gaze away. He chuckled, a sound both musical and menacing, as he brushed a stray curl away from his ghostly face. Renowned, yes, but also entwined with the very darkness that feeds on brilliance. I felt a moment of uncertain clarity. The allure of a destiny fulfilled, the image of my songs reaching countless souls. It was impossible to ignore. Yet in the depths of his eyes, I sensed the truth. Nothing in this world came without consequence. After a long silent beat that seemed to stretch into eternity, I whispered, I understand, and closed my tab. A slow smirk crept across his lips, as if both victory and melancholy graced his handsome features. While adventuring through my mind palace with the sweet notes of Moonlight Sonata, I noticed a strange reverberance that shouldn't have been there. It was a slow scratching. I slowed my pace. It turned to a beat inside the wall. A thump, like a heartbeat that followed the rhythm of the music. I slammed my hands on the keys. You bastard. You're fucking with me. Then I hatched a plot. I scooted away from my seat and gently placed a record on my turntable. It started toward the middle of an interpretation of Caprice number 13, transitioning into variations Op 15. I turned the volume up and the speakers filled every room with noise, then followed the beating and scratching in the walls. The scratching had gotten worse. It wasn't just at night anymore. It whispered through the drywall in the middle of the day like 1,000 dry legs tapping in rhythm. Sometimes it hummed, low and wet like breath rattling in a diseased throat. My fame had soared, but with it came the sound, and now it owned me. I stood in front of the wall where the sound pulsed loudest, chest heaving, fingertips twitching. I had tried everything, ignoring it, drowning it out, even sleeping in hotels. But always found me. Always. The wall was cold and stark white, but the area where the scratching was happening had veins of mold creeping like rot through the seams of drywall. I pressed my ear to it. The sound stopped. Then, clear as anything, I heard it. Astor's play for us started. I snapped. With a strangled grunt, I drove the claw end of a hammer into the drywall. Plaster exploded like bone dust. A hollow groan escaped the wall, and something beneath the surface shuddered. I didn't care. I kept going. Each strike sent shocks up my arm. My knuckles split open as I ripped away chunks with my bare hands. Blood smeared across the wall like paint. The deeper I went, the warmer it got. The space behind the drywall wasn't empty. It breathed. It exhaled a thick, sticky heat that smelled of old blood and wilted flowers left too long in stagnant water. Behind the drywall, I found something fleshy. Not wood, not insulation. Flesh starred at asterisk. I stared, breath catching in my throat. Veins, black and pulsing, ran in lattices across a pinkish membrane. It twitched when I touched it. My fingers sunk slightly into it like wet dough. Beneath my skin, I felt the vibration, like 1,000 whispers trapped in a closed mouth, begging to be heard. I tore at it. My nails bent back as I clawed through the pulsing meat. It screamed, not in sound, but in my skull. Sharp, shrill frequencies stabbed my mind as hot. Translucent fluid spilled down my arms. It smelled like vinegar and spoiled milk. Behind the membrane was a hollow, round chamber. Nestled inside, alive and writhing, was a mass of black, silky threads that moved like hair in water. They twined around tiny mouths, blinking eyes, fragments of instruments, torn pages of scores. My scores. My handwriting. They were feeding on them. On me. I fell backward, sobbing, slick with gore as the threads reached outward toward the moonlight. And in my mind, I heard him again, entwined with the very darkness that feeds on brilliance. I am shuttered in my room and haven't left for days. I don't want to see the thing in my walls anymore, peering out at me with sickly flesh. The scratching is getting louder, and it's whispering to me, begging me to play music. That's it for today's creepy Reddit tales. Before we go, I just want to say a quick thanks to all of you for watching, liking, and sticking around. You guys keep this channel going, and I'll be back soon with more stories that'll make your skin crawl. Drop a comment if you've got your own spooky tale to share, and I'll see you in the next one.